What's up, guys? I'm here on a Tuesday night. I think this is the first Tuesday night I have ever done a show. But things move around, schedules happen, and real life gets in the way sometimes. But tonight I'm really stoked because I'm bringing in someone who I now consider a great friend, who lives in a totally different state, but we started bonding over music at PorkFest, and we just have a lot in common. So I wanted to bring in my friend Sean. So Sean, what is up, dude? How you doing, man? Thank you so much for being here. Really stoked to have you.
Dude, this is so awesome, dude. I love being here, man. This is awesome.
So you have this really great podcasting setup, and you were telling me this is your first ever podcast appearance.
Yeah. Most of the time, most of the time I'm on the other side of the board and the other side of the camera. So it's like I'm kind of doing everything now, but it still has to be at a certain level. So I'm just kind of running around ragged. But I really like helping other people with their podcast. Rarely do I get on this side of the lens.
Yeah. So I met you for the first time at PorkFest. I think it was 3 years ago. It was my first full PorkFest. And what it was is I think I was playing my playlist. It was the first time I ever did emo night. But I was also playing the playlist back at the tents and everything like that. And I was just putting on my nostalgia playlist on Spotify, which is basically all Tooth and Nail bands, which was my favorite record label back in the day. And you were just whose music is this? And
what is this?
It was that's how I grew up. This is all the best songs in the world. And that's kind of how I met you. We met through just music community, bonding at PorkFest and all the cool things. And PorkFest is the greatest place to meet people because we all have so many different things in common anyway. So
it's great.
How many times have you been to PorkFest even?
I want to say this past one was my 6th. That doesn't sound right. 5th or 6th. I don't know. It sounds like a lot, doesn't it?
It does. I lose track myself, and I've only been there 4, I think.
Yeah, so. It feels like a couple, but I want to say somewhere between 4 and 6. Man, I don't know. I'm trying to go off the number of magnets on the back of my car. So,
do you remember what Tooth and Nail band was playing? I'm not gonna hold you to this, but
man, a couple years ago, I can't. I do not remember specifically what made me say hey, this is kind of obscure, not obscure, but this is really niche. But it might have been MXPX or so. You're a huge MXPX fan, right?
That's my favorite band. Yeah. So for those who don't know, the Tooth and Nail record label, they're partnered with Solid State Records. So they've had bands like Under Oath, MXPX, Anne Berlin. Who else? The Classic Crime, Emery, Showbread, or some of my favorite bands. But they've had huge bands, small bands, all the bands in between. At this point, they're just running off nostalgia because, I don't even know. I think they still exist. I don't know any Tooth and Nail bands these days.
Yeah, dude, you got me. I mean, I'm sure I could look it up and see, but I mean, I haven't really gotten into that. I just really haven't been into that scene. I would say partly because music has gotten, just in general, I think it got really good in the past 10, 15 years. And then also Christian music kind of stopped being a thing. If nowadays, if it's a Christian band, it's very much a contemporary Christian band. Back in 1997 up until the 2000s, it was it was revolutionary to have a Christian band that sounded good, that was actually listenable and really cool. And that was what Tooth and Nail did. They there was already a contemporary Christian music industry, and then they had this California punk rock thing going.
Yeah.
And I guess MXPX was probably the biggest one at the time that just kind of led that.
Yeah, they were just 15-year-old kids, but they blew up. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it was really weird. And I don't know if we're going to get into this at all, but I've heard stories, as I get older and I start talking to people and meeting people, and this whole idea of a Christian Christian music artist, like a Christian musician, like it kind of put these people at the like level of youth pastor, right? Like they were
Yeah.
expected to be a spiritual leader for thousands of kids all across the country, which is not a huge amount, but that's still more than probably what they were equipped for or really
Yeah.
doing. And so you always heard these stories of these Christian artists behind the scenes, what they acted like backstage and what they were into. And sometimes it was kind of shocking. Sometimes it was kind of scandalous. But you got to think about it, like they're just kids. They're skaters from California, not them like any of these guys that are just happen to love music and be in a band, and they don't really want to be in, they want to be in this up and coming Christian scene.
The common phrase that they would always say is like, we're not a Christian band, we're Christians in a band. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, I think that was like probably the best way to put it.
Right.
And you're like,
you couldn't get away from it though. Like there were Christians in a band back then too. Like, like from what I understand, and I don't want to like label anyone or call anyone out, but I remember reading like the guys from Collective Soul were believers, and you listen to their music and it's very, there's a lot of depth there. It's, they're not swearing or talking about anything unwholesome or anything. But that would have been right around that time that they're, from what I understand, they were Christians in the band. Same with like, I think Kansas was similar story and stuff like that. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You hear about these things because the other thing too is back in like the 2000s, like that was a big deal. Like Relevant magazine was all about just talking about the faith journeys of different musicians. So like I remember when I was in college, I read the book. It was like the faith of like all these different artists, and it went through all the like, started with U2, and then I think that's where I read about Collective Soul and Kansas and all these other actual like believers who were in the music industry. But that was also something like we wanted to hear that too. So
I
whatever the
like
was,
that they were like authentic at least about it. Like we're just like normal people. We're Christians. We believe in we have a faith, but we like play music. This is what we do. Like, but we like are just normal people. We mess up just like normal people. And that was like cool, like to all of us, because we were all just like normal kids trying to figure out how to fit in. And like, you go in and you see some of these like more contemporary like Christian artists, and they'll like like some of like the most popular ones out there. Like, do you remember Hawk Nelson or even Newsboys more recently? But like,
I thought
like that guy,
I was wondering how long it was going to take us to get into that.
Like that guy like just came out and like he was like sexually assaulting men, and like he's like and like he's like he came out and apologized for it or whatever. Like he's got a family and a wife and all this stuff. And, but like, the first Newsboy singer, like he quit because he was an alcoholic. And I think he was addicted to cocaine or something too. And like,
really? I didn't know about that. Was that?
So like, I like it always like, it doesn't necessarily shock me because of like, I know what like artists are pressured to do. And once you like are in this like framework, you have to like stay inside this framework, because that's what's not just about selling, for a lot of these people, but like, we're just people. We're just people at the end of the day. We do normal things, and, like we all mess up. But like, even the singer of Hawk Nelson, I loved that band. And like, he came out as like an atheist. He's like, I haven't believed like the entire time I'm in the band. Or As I Lay Dying. Do you remember As I Lay Dying? Like the hardcore band. He did the same thing. He actually tried to kill his wife. And then he's like, yeah, I'm also an atheist. So all these songs I put out, like,
which is kind of at the same time when he tried to kill his wife, you're like, you're not a Christian anymore, right? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, like I'm kind of glad he didn't keep like trying to push
grifting. Yeah, it does end up like some of them end up grifting like pretty hard, and like I don't know, like I always appreciated the Tooth and Nail and Solid State bands, because to me they just like seem like
I lost your audio. I don't know what happened.
That's terrible. Can anybody else hear me in the comments? By the way, I've got Lauren McIntyre saying, you guys are making me miss Porkfest so bad right now. We miss you, Lauren. You're awesome. My dude, 12 Stones. I don't think 12 Stones was on Tooth and Nail.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
I can't hear you right now.
Oh, I don't know.
Gosh.
Hopefully everyone else can hear me. Okay. I think like the world
Dude,
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, the world can hear you.
I'm so sorry. All right. Well, give me a second here. Let me see.
It's his first time, guys. It's his first time. So, while he's figuring that out, I am going to.
I still can't hear you.
I'll
coming through my. I don't know why.
I'll put him backstage for a quick second. So, anyways, I met this dude at PorkFest. He's like a really cool, just authentic guy. I'm really excited to have him here, but I'm really bummed that he's having audio problems. Let me see if he's messaging me right now. I'm sorry that this is happening. Let's see if he fixed it. Did you fix it?
Dude, I still can't hear you, man. I'm sorry.
Bummer.
I'm going to pretend like it's on your end. No, I'm kidding. Oh,
hey.
No. Dude, I still can't
well,
what is going on? This is so crazy. Let me switch real quick. Hold on a second.
All right. I'll be back. So, long story short, PorkFest is the coolest place in the world to meet people. Is where I met the amazing McIntyres, which Lauren's in the comments here. I always say that PorkFest is not PorkFest unless the McIntyres are there or Sean. And the McIntyres are my favorite people at PorkFest, and they're from freaking Florida. So I don't know when they're moving back to New Hampshire, but hopefully within the next millennium. Where the fuck is PorkFest going to be this year? I guess they don't have a place. They're trying to find a place. So millennium. Where the fuck can you hear me, Sean? PorkFest going to be this year? It's echoing like crazy. All right. I'll let him keep figuring that out. So we are talking about tooth and nail bands. If you don't know, tooth and nail, let me pull this up real quick. Alumni. Cool. I guarantee you'll recognize like all of these bands because they're amazing. But let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Cool. There we go. I'm going to show you guys what's going on. So you got like, you might recognize the Almost. That's the drummer from Under Oath, or Almost is drummer from Under Oath, his pop punk band, or more like, raw rock band. Amber Lynn. Oh, my dude Sean is calling me. Hey Sean, what's up, dude?
Hey man, why don't you just turn your volume down and then put your phone in front of you so I can hear what you're saying to your phone?
Okay, that works. I will turn my volume down and let you hear me through this. Let's see how this works. Hey, Sean, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, well, we're going to just keep going because they say that your audio is totally fine. I was just going through some of these tooth and nail bands. Like Capital Lights is one of my favorite ones. Number One Gun, OC Supertones, legendary. Plank Eye was great. POD.
Dude, I forgot POD was on. You got to turn your phone volume down, your speakerphone down, off.
There you go.
Okay, that's a lot better.
All right,
I forgot
cool.
POD was on Tooth and Nail at first.
Yeah, Family Force 5. They were pretty wild.
That was a lot of fun. They were kind of ridiculous.
Further Seems Forever was great. 1,000 Foot Krutch. I played shows with them.
Hold on. Stop. You can't just go over Further Seems Forever.
Further Seems Forever was one of my favorite bands. That actually is I think one of the first bands that I would have considered emo that I really just became obsessed with.
You mean wait. Wasn't Chris Carrabba the frontman for Further Seems Forever? Am I thinking of a different band?
Nope.
Yeah, the guy who then went on to do Dashboard Confessional, which kind of created, or people kind of created the mainstream definition of emo.
Yeah, basically. And actually I didn't find Further Seems Forever until they came out with I don't think he was a singer. I think it was Jason.
Okay.
It was the song "The Sound."
Okay.
What drew me in, and that album was like insane. But that was like, those were like the good days. Would you say like, who were like, they were definitely one of my favorite like bands at that time. Who were like some of your top bands back in those days that you kind of grew up like listening to?
Yeah, so the thing is, it's like these different like phases in life, right? So like in middle school is when I discovered MXPX. But then as I got a little bit older into high school, it was like I just viewed that as like my middle school years, and I didn't really want to go back to my middle school years, so I stopped listening to MXPX. And then
Yeah.
a year later, Blink-182 was everywhere, and I was like, this sounds like what I used to listen to in middle school, and I never really got into it. But the but so yeah, so in middle school it was like MXPX, Value Pack.
Oh,
What was
nice.
the Huntingtons? I love the Huntingtons. And then my first, when they ask you like what was your first concert ever, it was Goaty Hook. And I loved Goaty Hook. Like
they were your
back
first
in those
concert?
days. Yeah, it was in like a church.
That is
near
insane.
Here.
They're so goofy, man. I used to love those guys.
And like as a little Christian school kid in like 7th grade, that was like the coolest thing in the world, to be in like a rock show and like a punk rock concert. Now it was in like the youth room of like a church, but it was like it was fun, and it was like my first show,
So like for me, I don't know how you were raised. I was raised like super kind of like really strict fundamentalist kind of guy, but I went to like a Christian school that wasn't run by like a Baptist church. It was like more of like a non-denominational church that ran the school. And on the way to school is when I would like borrow people's headphones and listen to the good music. And I remember like one day I was like sitting in art class and the teacher was just like, yeah, you can just like put on music as long as it's Christian. And it was MXPX and it was Chick Magnet that drew me in, that bass line. It, like, that's what like made me like want to learn to play bass guitar and start playing music and touring and stuff, was MXPX. But like, I just remember like my parents thought anything that wasn't considered like sacred music or like hymns was like demonic or of the devil. So like I bought a bass guitar and they're like, oh, like they like almost like didn't want me to like learn how to play music because one, I sucked at the time too, but like it was, and then I turned out to be some heathen that toured and did all this stuff too. But yeah, like I'll never, like the way I was like kind of raised is like this type of music was so like bad and against what I was like, the principles of how I was raised. And now I'm like looking back, I'm just like, how ridiculous is that to think that? I don't know. Like parents will try to teach their kids how they teach them, but like,
it's funny because when I think back to those days, like my first actual CD was Bush and Hootie and the Blowfish. Those were like my first CDs. And my parents had like this policy that they had to look at the lyrics first. And if the lyrics checked out, then we were cool. And I was a little nervous because I knew there was some like questionable stuff in there. And then I don't think my parents actually ever looked at the lyrics. They were just looking for F words pretty much. But I went to a Christian school. I was always involved in like youth group and stuff. And I feel like a lot of my stuff was like self-imposed, like going to like the youth group retreat where they kind of like convince you should like, we didn't literally throw our CDs in the fire, but it was like, oh, who here is going to commit to like getting rid of all their secular music and only listening to Christian music and stuff. And I was like, oh, me. And so like but in middle school and like high school, I think I like purged my like the secular music out like a couple times. And then it was like, well, that's kind of dumb. And I like this band, and I would like bring them back in. But so like the thing is also like, I feel like kids will do it themselves too. Like it's not even necessarily your parents have to be like, don't listen to secular music. Cause my parents really weren't paying attention to anything I was listening to. And they didn't care if I listened to the radio or they listen. My dad would listen to like the oldies stations and stuff. And I can't say all that is completely appropriate for kids, but even like raising kids now, like I have kids who are going into 6th grade, and my, like, we'll be watching a YouTube video and someone will say a bad word, and one of my kids, like he'll like immediately stop the video and go to the next one. And I'm kind of like, hey, that's cool. I'm glad you're not watching inappropriate things, but at the same time, I was really into that video, man. Like, I kind of wanted to see what would happen, and that wasn't like a really bad word. Like, can we just wait till maybe the second or third time to actually ask the video? But he's just like, boom, right there on the remote, and I'm like, okay.
Do you remember Radio U? They did like a lot of like the like Christian music videos. Like, it was basically like the version of MTV at the time. And I remember I used to just like record them on VHS, and I would take those VHSs to my grandpa's to watch the VHSs while I was there. Like, this was like middle school maybe. And Showbread came on, Mouth Like a Magazine, where they're all like, you know, like wearing like makeup and like they have their fingernails painted and wearing black and red clothing. Man, my grandpa was like, I said my parents were fundamental Baptists. This dude was like he was basically like the worship pastor for a fundamental Baptist church. So he sees that come on and he just like thought that I brought demons into his house. It was the most ridiculous thing. Anyways, I think that like all that stuff like really like kind of like helped grow me into the person that I am today. And I think that like we probably have a similar story there, where it's like that it kind of like helped us like, you know, I wouldn't even say like mature us like in our like our faith or anything like that, but it definitely helped keep us grounded. I think faith like or the music and having that like something that was more niche and unique, that wasn't like the mainstream thing. I think that was like really good for me growing up. I don't know.
I mean, I think it definitely, for me, gave me like a healthy appreciation for like secular, for Christian rock, for secular rock. You know, you talk about like what I grew up on, like, cause come high school, when I was in high school, POD like was just coming up. And when they released Fundamental Elements of the South Town, that was like the biggest deal for Christian rock, because it was a good album. It was this new rap rock sound that was kind of already like, we knew Rage, Korn, and then you had this band POD, and that was like a big deal. But it was still kind of like niche, so I could like it was just among me and my friends, and I used to go on like the POD message boards and stuff. Then they got huge, and I would say the one thing that was cool about this like the Christian music was that it also helped me develop like kind of better relationships. I don't want to say like, oh, you know, I hanging out with Christians were like the good kids, but I will say, like, when I look back at high school, the people who I was friends with, who I was listening to this music with, like, they weren't. It did help me like not drift into the wrong crowd, for lack of a better term. You know, like the Pork Fest crowd. No, I'm kidding. But
we're all degenerates over at Pork Fest.
Yeah, the degenerates.
Did you see the Lauren McIntyre's in here? Says she's Mrs. Pork Fest. She's awesome. But,
oh my gosh, she is. Yeah, and you're right. Like, if Lauren McIntyre is not a Pork Fest, it's not Pork Fest. It's not a Pork Fest. I don't know. I'd probably have to go home. I don't know.
I would have gone home. I would have just drove right back.
But yeah, so it wasn't just the music, but it was also like the culture around the music. It made youth group fun. I was always a big youth group kid, not because I loved the message, or I really like it was just how I socialized, you know, being a weirdo high schooler. It was like my chance to go and hang out with people and meet people. You know, I wasn't like really going to parties or anything. So the music kind of brought that together. Like, I remember who was with me when we went to go see POD and Project 86. And like, we were like so into those bands and everything. And those people aren't really Christians anymore. But at the time it was good for me, you know, cause I was in like kind of a better environment, you know, not getting pushed into doing stuff I wouldn't have wanted to do, you know?
Yeah. I like now, like you look at like Furnace Fest lineup and all these bands that were on Tooth and Nail and Solid State pretty much play there almost every year, like on a rotation basis. You know, I saw MXPX a few years ago there, and Amberlyn and Five Iron Frenzy was there. It's crazy.
Dude,
Emery.
That's so wild. I mean, Like, I don't even know if I've listened to Five Iron Frenzy in the last 20 years.
I've had her on the show. Lenore, she's awesome. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, like I don't know, like two of the bands, like Emery and the Classic Crime, they kind of branched off and started like they kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say like they fell away from their faith or anything, but they started the Bad Christian label, right? And they kind of took a different direction with their music. They're like, yeah, like we're bad Christians. They just kind of like we're like, you know, like yeah, we swear and do all these things. We're just normal people. And I think that like it brought like a really real approach to like I think it made those guys really approachable. Now, like eventually what they did with that, I thought it eventually kind of became a little cringe. But
what did they eventually do with it? Because I remember the podcast, and I would check it out every now and then they were like expanding it into a network.
Yeah.
But then it seemed like it just fizzled out.
Yeah, like well, it fizzled out because like they started like really just kind of like not doing anything good with it. But like I don't know, like I really liked that. Like I always thought they were like super approachable with that. Like I know Matt McDonald from Classic Crime was helping with that quite a bit. They kind of had like a more like of a no filter approach to how they live. And I feel like that's how I live. Cause like I'm terrible at censoring myself. I'm a free speech absolutist and things just like slip out. I'm not supposed to say all the time. Yeah.
Well, the other thing I was going to say was like, I mean, it was starting to shift before that, but I feel like that's one of those moments where like it went up until then. That whole idea that a Christian rock star, a Christian musician is basically a youth pastor, that carried on, you know, like, and when for someone to say like, hey, we're not even going to like that idea of being a bad Christian. It's kind of like, I hate to say this, but it's like kind of like saying, you're like, oh, he's not a real libertarian. And now you have people being like, yeah, hey, I'm a fake libertarian. I'm not a real libertarian, because they're so tired of this like label that's so stringent and so like boxed in by it. So when someone was like, you know what, fine, I'm a bad Christian. I'm not going to say I'm not a Christian, but I'm also not, you're not going to be happy if I accidentally drop a swear word or something here, or I like to enjoy, you know, some liquor or so every now and then, or smoking cigars, or God forbid cigarettes. That's still probably on the no list.
That's a great comparison, by the way, though. Like the real libertarian thing. That's a great comparison. Yeah.
But to the point where like today, and we don't have to get too into it, but when someone says like you voice an opinion and someone's like, well, you're not a real libertarian, you just kind of look around, you're like, that's not as big of an own as you think it is. Like no one really cares. And honestly, like sometimes among certain people, that's a good thing. Like you're like, oh, I'm not a real libertarian, not one of those. But like Christians were the same way. And it's like, well, I'm a bad Christian. Like I'm like, don't hold me to an impossible standard. Like, you know, where you're opening up the Bible and like the teacher of the law and stuff. He's like, look, I'm a person, I'm a human. I just happen to also believe in Jesus and Christianity and stuff, you know? So,
and they'll like point to other denominations and saying like, all of those people are doing it wrong, completely wrong. and like, they really like in almost every way, like a lot of them like shadow a lot of the same, you know, foundational beliefs, and even some of their like traditions or their, you know, how they, do certain like rituals, like a communion or a baptism stuff. Like a lot of these like churches do all the same stuff. They just have like a very different approach on how to like deliver it to people. And like the overall message for a lot of them, sometimes like there's some like crazy ones out there that I'm like, oh, I'm not even able to touch talking about that right now. But, like, I think that like, you know, it's just ridiculous. Like what happens is like eventually, you know, I think libertarianism and Christianity are similar in the fact that like people try to put it inside of a box, and it's just something that you can't contain in a box. It's something that's like very, like you can't fully understand it. Like libertarianism, like we know the basic principles of libertarianism, but like you can't like fully like, like based on how somebody like lives their life. Like, you know, most people I would say prefer libertarian, the libertarian stance, like don't hurt people, don't take their stuff, right? But like that's not what a libertarian is, and like most people will never understand like the capital L, little L debate. Maybe with Christianity it's the same thing. Maybe we need to like a big C and a little c. Actually, I think that's like sacrilegious to a lot of people to lowercase Christ.
But... Yeah. Let's not lowercase anything. Oh man. There's a church near me where they like unveiled this new logo, and it was like a cross and then like another like slanted cross underneath. And I think I forget their whole idea. It was like, you had Jesus's cross and then like the cross you take up daily or something. But people went crazy over it because they're like, how dare there be two crosses? And they're like, no, that was just imagery and stuff. But not capitalizing the G or not capitalizing the C. Like, I don't know, man. That's some heretical territory.
Did you read the new Josh Dye's book, Art with All Its Teeth?
No.
Josh Dye's was he's, for people who don't know, he was on Tooth and Nail with the band Showbread. He's now like a fantastic author. He writes a bunch of books. I think you were talking about Death to Deconstruction at Porkfest. Yes. Awesome book. Fantastic. Everyone should read it. But he also just recently released a book called Art with All Its Teeth. And it's about like controversial art that was like intended to be by the artist. It was intended to be like more like worship. And the way it was interpreted by people was that like it was blasphemous basically. And I think like the idea behind it was like God wants people to be creative and like use their full capacity of what's possible and not limit things. But like they brought up like the example of like, have you ever heard of Piss Christ?
Yeah. Is it like it's a cross in like a urine cup or something?
Like there's a jar full of urine and it has a cross in it with Jesus on it. And people like lost their minds over it. But
I remember talking about it back in college about how the world is so anti-Christ, and like here's an example of this work of art, and that was like the example given every single time.
And the artist was like, I did this out of reverence to the Lord. And he was saying like, like this is like showing that like he did this in a world full of piss, basically. And like he had like this big explanation about it. But like, I don't know. Like I think that like I think that like my background with Christian music, and now like I am who I am here. I think that it helped me like be more understanding of like that the box is bigger than what my parents taught me or what this denomination will teach you. I always say like I'm not denominational when it comes to my faith, but I also like say I don't claim non-denominational either, because that's actually a denomination now.
Yeah, it means something now.
I'm like the Christian that everyone would call a heretic because like I said, bad Christian, right? But I think that like it just kind of like helped shape me into who I am. It helped me, like it motivated me certainly when I was going out and touring and stuff and playing with my band. Like the first shows that I played, my parents like came to the first show I played, which was at like a little like a music store, and like half of the pop punk bands or pop punk songs that I played were like about Jesus, and they were saying it was demonic. And I'm like,
dude, that's tough, man. Wow.
It was rough. And like I have a great relationship with my parents today, but like I obviously had a rebellious phase. There's a reason that I'm who I am today too. But
it's funny because I remember hearing stuff like that, and now that I'm obviously I went through that period where I was like, no man, it's just music, it's art, and I get that. But now sometimes I hear these stories and see like what some of these pop stars are doing and what's happening behind the scenes and people getting like arrested and stuff. And I'm like, no, I actually think some music is demonic. I just think it wasn't the stuff that they thought it was.
Yeah. Like I think a lot of it was, like the satanic panic where like, back in the 80s, early 90s, they were like, all these things were coming out and they're like, saying that like, everything's just satanic. Like, do you remember like, I wasn't allowed to play Pokemon growing up because like they were saying like they were all Chinese demons and
really,
yeah, like I like
I was a
watch
little
Harry
bit
Potter
too old.
until I was an adult.
I was a little, yeah, I remember that. I definitely remember Harry Potter because he was doing witchcraft. I was a little too old to get the Pokemon lecture in youth group, but I've read things about how Ninja Turtles were demonic and
No
Smurfs
Halloween.
especially.
If you dress up for Halloween, you are just like welcoming the devil inside of your
Oh my
house.
gosh. Dude, I had this theory at one point because I got to this point where I was like, the church harvest parties are more fun than like dressing up and doing Halloween.
Yeah.
And then it's going to get to a point where all the kids are going to like a church harvest party and then they're going to like start like claiming that like the harvest part, like then people are going to like start coming out and like saying like being anti-harvest parties or so.
Yeah.
Because I honestly believe like I don't know the history and everything, but it's almost like there was this like, you look at these different holidays, a little bit off topic, but like Christmas and Easter and how like, oh no, they're really pagan holidays. And it's like, well, no, what happened was they were pagan holidays. The church was like, hey, we're going to make this a holy holiday, like a Christian holiday. And then like everyone, and then all like the anti-church people like got really pissed off and they're like, no, you can't say Christmas. You have to say happy holidays and stuff. And it's like, it's just like full circle. It's like, well, it's not you're complaining about this pagan holiday and they're complaining that it's not pagan enough. And you have Christians defending this pagan holiday. And it's like really weird. And I'm like, just wait for like 50 years from now when like Halloween becomes a Christian holiday because everyone wants to go to the harvest parties instead. And they forget about the whole Halloween
It's
tradition.
a little bit of a stretch on that one. I don't know if that's going to happen, but like, you know what? Anything's possible, right? So
anything's possible.
Yeah, it really is. I don't know. It was a wild, it's been a wild journey, man. Like, I feel like people are all over the map when it comes to like what is permissible and what is not permissible when it comes to like, their faith and stuff. And I don't know, like I said, like I started pretty young. Like I feel like I got my first bass guitar when I was 11.
Okay.
And like I said, Mike Herrera, MXPX, that was like the guy I wanted to be someday. Like my first real experience at a non-sacred concert was Warped Tour in 2004, and I went to see MXPX and Reliant K, which by the way, world, this man Sean, I hosted punk rock karaoke at Pork Fest and it was a blast. He gets up and he's like, "This song's for you, dude." He freaking sang Punk Rock Show by MXPX, made my entire week. It was so great. Such a great time. Like you killed it. It was so good. Killed it in a good way.
Yeah. No, that was such a great song. And I did, well, I knew you like MXPX, but no, that album, that cassette, that song in itself, not only
cassette.
did it yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
It's so old.
I know. Yeah, I don't even know if I don't even think we might have had CD players at that time, but that would have been like 1995, 96 when I had that. So CDs
I'd be lying
if
I didn't like admit to having some cassettes during that time frame too. So I'm like a little younger than you, but not by like a wide margin. It was really like a couple of years there. That transition.
Yeah, you're not that much younger. But no, well, first of all, we did. I'm trying to. I feel like I was still using cassettes like throughout high school and stuff, just because it was easier to record things and like using them to record. We definitely I remember like the Tascam 4-track, like we would record on like licks and stuff on cassettes. And then also I remember I think I had a car in college that only had a cassette player. So instead of getting like the CD player with like the wire and everything, I just got a bunch of cassettes for it. So
yeah,
they were still around.
do you remember there was a time frame when you couldn't like really like burn CDs, right? And you would like put a CD in your player and a cassette tape in the front, and you like transfer the CD to your cassette tape, and then you would listen to the cassette tape with all your favorite songs on it.
Yeah,
did you ever do that?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I ever did that because we had. Do you remember cassette like stereos that had two cassette things?
I don't remember that. No.
So you would have a stereo with like two cassette players, and you would put the blank one in one and the original in the other, and you would like hit record and play.
Oh yeah. Actually,
you would.
Yeah, there was like I definitely had some like stereos that had like the 2 cassettes that you could do that with for sure.
So we used to use that to duplicate cassettes when we didn't want to pay for it.
Yep.
But then when CD burners became a thing when I was in high school, you had that one guy who had one like really early, and he would like sell CDs for $5,
Yep.
and they were like the burnt CDs and stuff. So
Totally.
that's usually what I did. And I think I was still recording stuff off of the radio onto cassette into like maybe late 90s, 2000 maybe.
Like I said, I was putting it on a VHS, all my favorite music videos, and hauling those around with me. Like I definitely like recorded over top some of my parents' favorite movies. I think a couple times. That was great. Or it was like some of like the important like this was like your first birthday video that we recorded you with, and I like recorded right over top of it.
My gosh, so I can't believe your parents still talk to you.
Well,
you were that kid, that annoying little kid.
I was that little shit, dude. That was me.
Oh my gosh. But going what I wanted to say was going back to like that Satanic Panic and like back in the day of like Christian music store or Christian bookstores selling music and stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you remember when you would walk into like a Christian bookstore and they would have like the posters that would say, if you like this secular band, you should listen to that band?
Yeah.
Did you ever see those? And for some reason I always looked at them and like I was going to like discover some new cool Christian band. The answer was always DC Talk. Like if you like Pearl Jam, you should listen to DC Talk. And I was like, who's making this stuff? Now you look at it and you got Eddie Vedder versus Michael Tate. Who would you rather be listening to right now?
DC Talk, or it was Petra or Striper.
Petra. Yeah, Striper. I'm not old enough to really get into Striper. I didn't get into Striper till later on when it was ironic. So
that's funny. Yeah, that's man. There was like definitely like a little bookstore down street from our house. Well, in the next town over that we'd go to, and I like, and then like at some point I got into like Christian rap, which to me is like the worst kind of Christian music that exists. At one point, dude.
At one point, it was really bad. I'm trying to think like who were like the early Christian rappers, like
man, Michael W. Not Michael W. Kirk Franklin did a couple. Carmen did a couple raps. There was like Family Force 5. When they were children, they were like 6 years old, dude. They had a band called The Brothers. It was all 3 of them. It was like a big deal. Their parents were like loaded and rich, right? They recorded all the cheesiest Christian rap songs that's ever existed, and I own that CD.
Oh my gosh!
I wanted to take it and have them sign it when I
was going to say you should get it signed by them,
dude. If they saw that in real life, they'd be like, can I buy this from you? Like this is
so
for them. It would probably mean something. Man. That was crazy. And then I remember Grits. Grits was a big one.
Yeah,
they actually had their song, I think, in Fast and Furious or something, like "My Life Be Like Ooh Ah." You know what I mean? That was them. That was them.
I definitely remember that song, and that was probably like the POD days and stuff.
Yeah. And eventually Toby Mac broke free from DC Talk and did his own thing too.
Right.
But for the most part though, like Christian rap has always been cringe until like Lecrae came around. Lecrae kind of changed the game with that.
Yeah, but at that point I wasn't listening to any rap. So I had like a friend who's like, dude, you gotta listen to Lecrae. He's like, he's so good. He's actually good. And I was like, well, it just kind of still sounds like rap to me. But
yeah, like like if you don't like rap, you're not gonna like it. But like I think that like he was like the best one to do that, at least, or to try to do that.
Dude, I sorry for bringing this up, but I must say NF is insane. Like,
why are you sorry? I freaking love NF.
I know, but like because like he's definitely rap. Like he's rap for people who like don't like rap, because like you can listen to that and be like, man, this guy is like. The songs, like the lyrical depth is crazy, like the stories, what he's talking about. I have one of my kids is he always wants to listen to it, and I'll let him listen to it. I'm not against him listening to it, but like he'll want to listen to it before bed. And I was like, nah, dude, you can't. And he's like, what do you mean? It's Christian. I'm like, it's Christian, but it's like really serious and it's really intense.
It's like depressing, dude. Like it's
I'm like, these are issues
It's-
that a 10, 11-year-old shouldn't have to be thinking about at this
Right.
point in life. I was like, he's coming from like this like crazy intense standpoint, and it's good. And I'm glad that my kid has pretty good taste. You know, like he knows good music when he hears it, but at the same time, like it's almost too good. Like it's too good for like a kid. Like let's get some cheesy let me introduce you to Toby Mac, who's still doing the same thing he was doing when he left DC Talk, and I can't which kind of
I met NF at youth Christian camp. Actually, that's where I first met him.
Yeah,
that same.
You told me you had that. You told me that story, and do you still have that CD he gave you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. Him and Brandon Heath both at the same camp at the same time. Both gave me one of their demo CDs. It's somewhere around. Like I have like a full, huge cardboard box of all the CDs that I just could never get rid of, and it's in there somewhere, man.
Oh my gosh, dude! I have that box of CDs, and it's one of those dilemmas. Like I just want to like purge like all the junk in my house, and I really want to get rid of those CDs, but like I can't. I spent so much money on them.
Yes,
but
every CD was like $15-$20 sometimes. Yeah. Like you have like 1,000 of them. Like imagine how much money you'd have if you saved all that money.
But like I'm never going to listen. Like I'm never going to take a CD out and put it in my PlayStation and listen to it.
Let's be honest, they're all scratched at this point anyway. They're just skipped the whole time.
Oh my gosh. The minute I throw them out though, I know CDs will come back, and like all the next generation will be back, like buying them off of eBay.
They're not coming back. But it is like walking into your grandma's house and she's got like 100 records on the wall that she hasn't listened to in 80 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is like that.
Even streaming music, even though now we have like Spotify, I listen to YouTube Premium. Like I'll put on an album and it'll be cool, but I'll end up hitting shuffle and just enjoying it just as much. Like I like that spontaneity of not knowing what song's coming up.
Yeah.
So it's like, even though we have this technology, I still want to like put it on shuffle. I still want to like, I don't listen to the radio as much. Like the radio is not as good as it used to be. There was a period after college when radio got really good and I listened to it all the time. But I have a special relationship with radio. I just love the radio. So I never had cable, so I never saw the music videos and stuff. But like I've just always like been fascinated on what's actually playing on the radio, what people are listening to, not necessarily like what's like. Rarely did I pick up like a random CD that like no one ever heard of and just like dive into it. There were a few. I remember in high school I listened to Spoken's like early album.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they had do you remember that first album? I think it was called What Remains, and it was basically Christian Rage Against the Machine.
I don't know. I think the first song I heard from Spoken was Promise. That was, I think, their most popular song possibly too.
Was it like, were they singing or were they like rapping?
It was singing. Yeah.
Dude, go back and find Spoken's What Remains. Part of you would be like, hey, this is pretty good. The other part's like, wow, they were legitimately ripping off Rage Against the Machine, trying to make Christian rage. But I wore that tape out. So, and I was the only one. No one knew what I was talking about when I said I liked them. I was like, okay, like, what kind of music you listen to? I'm like, oh, Spoken. They're like, what's that? I'm like, okay, Reliant K, I guess.
Yeah. And you know, like kind of going back to like where we were like talking a little bit before, you know, how like really like, you know, being called like a bad Christian's like being called like not a real libertarian, right? You were saying like, you know, bands would get up on stage. It's basically their pulpit. They can just say what they want. People will listen to them. That's always how I kind of like viewed like being in a band too. And, you know, I think it was like a great way to like get up and just say whatever the heck I wanted to say. And people would just like it, you know what I mean? And like we were playing shows and people were singing our words. And it was like the coolest thing that's ever like happened in my life, my social peak. But like really, like music is an amazing way to like influence people and, you know, affect the culture like on a real level, because like it literally like we're talking, we've already gone, dude, like almost an hour. It's been 50 minutes of just talking about how like all these bands we listened to in middle school and high school affected our life and changed and kind of shaped the direction almost that we went and like how we view the world and other Christians. But you know, for me, like I feel like that's such an important thing. And I feel like that's something that like people who, want to promote, freedom at the most absolute level, and Christianity, they both have an opportunity to get out there and try to affect the culture in this way. And I don't think that it's happening as much as it did when we were growing up. And well, it is, but it's happening like in the opposite direction. Like counterculture took like a countercultural direction. So now we need to have like a counterculture to work back against it. Because like, it's really like all the favorite bands I listened to as well. Like once I started listening to secular music was like NoFX and like Bad Religion and Anti-Flag and all these bands that were like, I always thought were like, oh, these guys hate the government. They like don't like the government at all. Like, these are my people. I'm an anarchist. And now they like play at the Democratic National Convention. I've said this like 1,000 times, but like it's just so true. Like, people look at these people for a message and they eat it up. And that's how they end up shaping their worldview. And I think it really affects younger kids. Like it really affects middle schoolers and high schoolers. And I mean, I probably elementary school kids too, but like really for me, I think it was like middle school and high school, the music I listened to is what shaped my path for life. And we don't have anything that's happening right now musically or artistically that's anything even close to what I grew up with. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Like you have a sixth grader, you said. I have an 8-month-old, so it's totally different, time frames there. But
I will say to that, I don't want to negate anything you say because you're absolutely right. I do think that the effect that music has had over American culture was largely because of the music industry. So we had record labels, we had radio, we had MTV, magazines, and it was like, up until 2010, whatever, it was like alternative, like this was like the top alternative rock, this was the top pop, this was the top rap or whatnot, and we were really pushed into like music was kind of like pushed onto us by the industry, and then it just became completely decentralized. I will say it is very possible that someone can make really great music and just go completely unheard. Like I think it's a shame that if I walk out this door, no one knows who Jordan Page is. Like listening to him play is an experience. Like
I should have him on the show. He's a good guy.
Yeah, seriously. Why isn't he? Why haven't me? No, but no, it's like it's a spiritual experience. I remember a couple years ago, I was walking around Porkfest and he was playing, and I just ended up just hanging out for like an hour or two. First of all, he played for like 6 hours. It was insane. But but like I just hung out and I was like, wow, it was so moving, and he's just so talented, and it's just like his music's so good. It frustrates me that he, like, I don't want to say no one, but he's not like mainstream, that people don't know who he is. On the other hand, I'm super thrilled that Oliver Anthony, some random dude playing guitar in the woods, just blew up out of nowhere. Maybe he deserved it, maybe he didn't, but like there's stories like that. I will say, as far as like influence among kids, it feels like that's really gone to the internet, that's gone to streamers and influencers, like YouTubers and stuff. And I think music has like that, they need to bring music into that. You know what I mean? Like, I think an influencer that has like a music base is going to be very powerful. I think musicians who want to like they also kind of need to become influencers, just to kind of like bring like to expose people to their music.
With how quickly you can go viral, it's definitely changed the entire shape of the music world and just like the internet in general. But like especially music, like people blow up overnight, like that you could have never heard of in your life.
Well, like Oliver Anthony is a great example, right?
Yeah.
Remember when that happened? And he like actively like turned away deals and opportunities and stuff. He's like, no, I don't want any of that, which was an interesting decision. I kind of wish he did more with that to actually do something with his, to, I don't know, say he's not doing anything, but to actually build off of that. But yeah, like the other thing too is like the idea of 15 minutes of fame has never been more applicable than today, because you can have someone who could be, everyone knows your name, like everyone knows their name today, and then forget about them next week.
Yeah.
So that's
like
the other thing too.
Something when I had Finn McKenty on the show, something he had mentioned is like how important it is for people to like just put out like literal like nonstop content. And this is why you see like big bands, they'll release like 7 singles and then like they'll put them all out with a music video. Then they'll put out like an 11-song album. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they have to space everything out by so long, and you get 4 new songs once the album comes out. But by the time you get there, like with Falling in Reverse, even recently, like I'm pretty sure they had like 6 or 7 music videos before he released his full album. And that's just like a normal thing bands do now. Like they need to put out regular content to keep people interested, because if you don't, people will forget about you. And like that's I don't know, like
yeah, it's a shame.
Changed it.
Yeah, it's a shame because like we think of music as in albums, and if you go back in our conversation, we're like, hey, remember this album, remember that album, like I know the albums and the songs that came out in 1997 and this album that came out in 2002 and whatnot. But now it's like when you're thinking of a band, you're like, oh, that song is that song 2 years old? Is it 3 years old? It was released first and then it was released again. And then the official album came out a year later. And I feel like we're going to miss the ability to kind of like pinpoint those cultural milestones of like when this album came out, like when Nevermind came out, the entire culture changed in 1991 when that album came out. When if it was today, it was like, when they dripped those songs out every couple weeks and, did a little bit of a launch over the course of a year, it's like, I know I lament not having, I'm going to miss having those like milestones of like albums being released, but that's just from like a cultural stance.
I feel like the internet's made the world like media very saturated as well. So it is harder to find those new bands, which is why people do cling to like the nostalgia, like what's comfortable and familiar. But I like when
we've always done that though.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
Like when I was in high school, people were listening to Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd because it was nostalgic and it was familiar and it was like, I mean, it was good, but like the fact that people are going back, we're just shocked that these kids are going back and listening to our crappy music from when we were in high school. We're like, that you think that's good? Like that wasn't good, man. Like,
yeah, for sure. And I don't know, like something that did happen during our life that might not ever happen again, probably won't, because of how they've made laws and turned everything into subscription services. We used to give our computers AIDS growing up by like finding new music, just like downloading random stuff on LimeWire and Napster. And then they had like, there was like Pure Volume and MySpace and all these places that were like, would give out like a new song every week. And like, there were so many places that was happening. And like, it was really like kind of directed more at your like niche genres and stuff. But like, I can't tell you how many diseases I gave my computer trying to download every Reliant K song that exists. You know what I mean? Trying to find one finally that, was the right one or didn't sound like crap.
I got so burnt out with that, with like the bad labels and mislabeling stuff and everything. I remember at a point I just gave up. I'm like, I'm just going to buy the CDs. I'm not going to try to figure all this out.
Yeah.
But that was also, I'm a little bit older. So for me, it was Napster. So it was like, I was downloading like 3 whole songs every hour. It was crazy.
It's one of those things, man, is like, as soon as like they caught on that this is like, it actually like really made a huge boom for the entire music industry. And then as soon as, they started putting in the laws and cracking down on like copyright infringement and piracy and all this stuff, and the IP stuff, like it just took a nosedive. And eventually we ended up with these like Spotify streaming services where artists are making not even a penny for 1,000 plays. You know what I mean? So
I hear what you're saying, but those laws were always in place. you know, like I don't know if you remember, like when I was a kid and I would put like the movie in the VHS player, it literally told you the FBI was going to come after you if more than like your household watched that tape. You know,
It's
if you
true.
duplicated it, was like the FBI is going to attack you.
Yeah.
So that did exist then too. I don't know if anything really shifted to create that. I think it was really just the market demand. And yeah, artists are getting completely screwed with these Spotify royalties and stuff. They could pull their stuff off of Spotify. The problem is that the market is forcing them to be on Spotify or else they don't exist.
Yeah. So we have a very important question that just popped up. Do you think Death Cab counts as emo? Yeah.
This is such an important question. And it is funny because a friend of mine, when I posted that on Facebook, I think he thought I was talking about Dashboard Confessional. They're both like they're both car motifs. Dude. But no, like I think in the future emo night is going to become a bigger and bigger thing in like clubs and whatnot, and we're going to have to decide as millennials. We should be the ones that decide, do we play Death Cab at emo night? Because
I think yes, I'm going to put it on my next emo night playlist next time I host an emo night.
I've been to like several of your emo nights, and I've not heard any Death Cab.
I've never played it, but I'm going to now. I Will Follow You Into the Dark is one of my all-time favorite songs. It is such a beautiful song, and I know it got like overplayed on the radio when it first came out, but that is so good. Like that song.
What was the one that opened up with the bass line? It was like just like 13 minutes of I
bet you the comments will tell us.
You know what it is. Oh my gosh, I'm killing.
I would recognize it. I'm sure.
I think it was on that. What album was I Will Follow You Into the Dark? Was that Plans?
I don't know what album that was. Like you tell me what album that was on. I used to be able to be like, oh, like it was the white CD and it was track 7. Like that's where I was at.
You're so old. You're so old.
Am, yeah.
No, it's funny. I hated Death Cab for Cutie when I first heard them. Because I don't like any. Maybe they are emo because I really hated them when I first heard them. I didn't hate them. I just wasn't into it. But like the music snobs in my life would not shut up about them. So I was delivering pizzas and I was like, I burned a copy from my college radio station. And I was like, I'm going to listen to this CD until I figure out what's so special about it and why everyone likes it so much. And I listened to it for probably like 5-6 hours on repeat. And at the end, I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's because, you're a hipster, Sean.
Well, and then like a year or two later, I don't know, like I feel like a little bit down the road, I was out of college, I was married, I was like working my first job, and one of those songs from that CD came on the radio, and I was like, oh my gosh, this reminds me back when I was in college, dating my wife, driving around, delivering pizzas, and it was like so much emotion. I was like, this band's amazing. And then ever since then, I've loved everything that they've done. Like that, like it didn't click till later, but it's because I had that like nostalgic, I created a nostalgic moment for myself.
What are like a couple other bands that you would say like didn't hit when they came out, when they were popular, but like later you came back to and you're like, how did I miss this?
Dude, you're going to hate this. Dave Matthews Band. I got into them in like 2012.
I'm not trying to like make fun of you. That was not what I was expecting as an answer, though.
I got their CD in 1996. I got Crash when it came out, and I remember on the bus, my friend Jordan was like, "Dave Matthews Band." My mom listens to Dave Matthews Band,
oh my goodness.
And I didn't listen to them ever again, like at all. And then I remember like, I was in high school and Jordan and all his friends were like, yo, they were like the Dave guys. Like, you going to see Dave tonight? You going to Dave? I was like, you losers. That band sucks. And then I want to say it was like 10, 12 years ago. I was listening to like one of their worst album. But the cool thing about that album is that there wasn't a lot of drums and violin and sax. But like everyone toned it down except for Stefan Lessard, the bass player. And so you could just hear like everyone else was like being super chill, but then like the bass was still going crazy. And I was like, my gosh, this is the best bassist I've ever heard. And I was like, I think I actually like this band. I couldn't like it because it was cool. And then after it was cool, I was like, you know what? This is actually a good band. You guys should check this out.
I'm just glad you didn't say like Fish or something like that,
Oh my
or
gosh.
like the Grateful Dead. No, I'm not shitting on the Grateful Dead, but
one
like
of these days, I will like the Grateful Dead, but we're not there yet. I don't Fish. I don't think I could ever do. Growing up, like graduating high school in 2002, like if you knew Fish people, like like the jam band crowd, they were insufferable.
Yes, totally. And like I went to this like church when I was in Colorado, and the pastor was actually like one of the original Grateful Dead members. And like,
wow,
yeah, like he was a nice, cool guy, but church wasn't my vibe. Like, like I think they danced and spoke Swahili a little too much for me. But it was like very interesting because I met the guy and he would like play banjo. I remember him playing banjo.
What kind of church was it? Was it like a charismatic church, or was it like just like an old school church?
Super charismatic. He was like, "There's somebody in the audience today that's suffering from this disease." And
I love it. I'm here for it. I want the crazy. The crazier, the better.
Yeah, I mean, I've experienced pretty much everything you can imagine with that stuff. It was, I visited all of them for the most part.
Oh yeah.
I haven't actually been to a Greek Orthodox church, but I am trying to get into that. We live really close to one now, so I'm planning to visit a Greek Orthodox church just to say, see what it was like and experience it.
Dude, all the best flat earthers I know are Greek Orthodox. So
100%. Yeah, the conspiracy theorists live at the Greek Orthodox chururs.
They love or maybe it's Russian. I don't know. One of the Orthodoxes.
No, it's definitely Orthodox. Greek Orthodox.
The Ortho Bros and stuff. But yeah, but like thinking, the thing is like I've been so contrarian my whole life. Like I would not listen. I was always that kid that like listened to it before it got cool. Like I loved POD. Once when Youth on the Nation came on the radio, I was done. Like I was done. Like once,
that's
like
a bummer, man. That album was so good.
It was too good. It
was too good. It was definitely more produced.
I don't know, man. I couldn't get it. Once, like I was really into Limp Bizkit. Like me and my little like weirdo friends were listening to Limp Bizkit, and I remember like talking to this kid at like this like I think it was like a youth group retreat or something from this other church, and he goes, "You like Limp Bizkit too?" We're like, "Yeah," and we're all like into this like Limp Bizkit, and then and he's like, they're coming out with this new album and it's supposed to be so good. And they have this new single coming and they're going to be so big. And we're like, yeah. And then Nookie came on the radio and all like the normal and like all the preppy kids started listening to like Limp Bizkit. And I was like, yeah, I'm done with this band. And I just like, I didn't listen to them ever again after that. Because it was just like, it was just too goofy and it was popular. Yeah. And anything that was popular, I was against. So the idea that like, if I'm walking around like with like a Starbucks listening to Dave Matthews, it's like it took me a while to get to that point. Like people don't appreciate how much growth I had to go through to like get really into Starbucks coffee. And
like, I didn't really like appreciate like a lot of like pop punk bands until later because like they were like all like really big when I was in high school and stuff. Like, Simple Plan and Sum 41. Now, I would say Sum 41 is one of my top 5 favorite bands, probably. But
top
at the time,
5?
I would say so. I've seen them live so many times. They're like incredible musicians. And then like Derek's personal life, his story of redemption and like how he came back from like his, crazy addiction and stuff and the life he lives now. I think it's a great story. And like I include that as part of the musical journey that he went. I think everything that they put out is a banger. It's so good. Like their albums are all killer, no filler, like straight up.
Too deep. Like really, like
I love that song. Right. Yeah.
No judging. It's see, it's so long ago that if you like, if you've played their music, I'd be into it. Like I'm into it every time I hear it. But at the time it just was, I did have a Sum 41 CD. I did like them for a minute, but
I didn't listen to them when they were popular. It was really like when I like I feel like, I don't know, 6-7 years later is when I first started really getting into like, their music. And I don't know. It blends in pretty well with like MXPX on my playlist too. You know,
Right.
It's
Yeah,
not too far off there.
That pop punk stuff. Did you ever listen to 311 then?
Nah, I never really got into 311. Does that surprise you?
I had like a little phase where like me and like a group of friends were like super into it. Well, they were kind of already old by the time you would have like they probably would have already been like passed by the time you were like really listening to that stuff. But I did have a thing for like rap rock, you know, the Limp Bizkit stuff and 311 and then Rage Against the Machine. And then when Sum 41 came out, it was like cool. It was kind of like rap punk type of thing. And so yeah, I liked it for a minute, but
the legend
Michael
McIntyre made an appearance too. I like Old Yellow Card too.
Old Yellow Card.
You know, actually what Yellow Card song, I think it was after like 9/11, they put out that song Believe. And I loved that song. Like that song was like one of my favorite songs for like the longest time. And I don't even know if that's considered Old Yellow Card or not. It might, if people call Old Yellow Card is.
I think Old Yellow Card would be whatever came after Ocean Avenue, right?
I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah,
I'm assuming. I don't know. I never heard of them before Ocean Avenue, but that was like a pretty big deal. But yeah, I remember Believe. I think I played that in a band at one point. I was in a like Campus Crusade worship band. It was like a summer project.
Pre-Ocean Avenue, he says. So he's
pre-Ocean Avenue. Yeah,
he's like the OG man. Like Michael McIntyre is the OG hipster. He knew the bands before they were cool. That's him. So
yeah, he's the real millennial here. the OG millennial. But yeah, no, Believe was good. It was a little cheesy, but
what? Okay, we're hour and 15 in. I guess I'll hit you with like a little rapid fire here. Like you can just like tell me like some answers here. What is the most what is one song that hits you in the chest every time, no matter what? Any band, any genre, any decade. Send it.
Oh my gosh. Just last night I was thinking that Fire song by Franz Ferdinand, but the one song that will turn everything around no matter what mood I am in is Hang Me Out to Dry by Cold War Kids.
Okay.
Like once that guitar starts going, like nothing else matters in my life. It's that's the one I go back to. But that's like my era, that like 06 to 2016, like post-punk revival. Like we can talk emo in like high school and middle school, but that after college radio, like post-punk era, like I just loved everything that was coming out.
Yeah,
like, Cold War Kids, Hang Me Out to Dry.
All the stuff we talked about tonight, that's my stuff. Like my like one of my favorite genres of music is probably like oldies. Like I love 60s, 50s, 40s music.
Really? Like Motown, Frankie Valli.
Frankie Valli, dude. Frankie Valli. If there's like if my kid is like my baby's crying or something like nonstop, I put on Frankie Valli, he just shuts up. Frankie Valli's coming through. Like,
did you listen to it as a kid?
Oh yeah.
Like how did you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Frankie Valli's coming through like the day after his first birthday, so I'm taking Frankie Valli. That'll be his first concert.
Nice.
But the song that hits me in the chest every time, it can't lose it. People are gonna judge me. They're gonna call me names for saying this.
I'm so judgy.
Smokey Robinson, Tracks of My Tears. And that's probably a very emo answer to give, by the way. Do you remember the first album that you bought with your own money?
Well, yeah, I actually already said it was Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Review, and Bush 16 Stone. And I got them because I signed up for that BMG thing from the magazine. So that's why there was two of them. I got those two, and like the rest of the CDs were like my Christmas presents to my family that year. So yeah, those were like my first. Now, my very first album, I had a friend, that same guy Jordan from the earlier story. He had a Nirvana Nevermind, a dubbed Nirvana Nevermind cassette that he thought it was broken, so he gave it to me, and I went home and I like fixed it up and everything, so I would have like some secular music, some new cool music when I was in like 5th grade, and I listened to that Nirvana Nevermind cassette like back and forth like a million times. So that was like my first album, but the first one I bought would have been Hootie and the Blowfish and Bush. That probably just gives away my age.
People are gonna like try to like come at me with pitchforks and torches, but I've never really liked Nirvana. Never, believe it or not.
But I don't even understand that answer. What do you
But like if there's like a couple bands that should never exist and never be talked about for the history of time, it's Supertramp, U2, and the Beatles.
All right.
Period.
I don't know what you have against Supertramp. That's really random. I agree with you with the Beatles. I think the Beatles, they probably were really important when they came out, but just like I'm not driving around in a Model T doesn't mean that we didn't get better music since then. Like
they had better music at the time. The Beach Boys.
Yeah. You know, like the Model T was amazing. It changed the world. Doesn't mean I'm still driving around in it, but I don't know, the whole U2 thing, man. I don't want to say yes, they're overhyped.
They infected
but I
my
also feel
iPhone,
like they get
a bad don't you remember
rap,
that? They
What's
freaking that? Don't you remember when they infected the world's
I remember
iPhones?
that.
It was
I
terrible.
remember that with the album.
It was impossible to get them off your library.
Look, we didn't even get into this, but U2 invented the entire genre of modern worship music. Like when you're talking to if this is a whole nother podcast, I know, but we've even go into like Delirious, Matt Redman, Chris Tomlin, the David Crowder, the Passion Festival, and what they did to the church, for better or worse. Like that, it was like you go back and listen to 40, which is U2's song.
I'm never going to listen to that, by the way. But I believe you.
Bad. U2's Bad is basically a Chris Tomlin song. And like they invented an entire genre of music that millions of people sing literally every Sunday. Like they all sing these songs together.
I've never heard this before. This is a very interesting perspective, but I see exactly what you're talking about.
Oh,
you're totally right. Yeah, that's
like listen to Chris Tomlin's "Not to Us." Are you familiar? Okay, we didn't talk about worship music at all, and I apologize. This is the rapid fire round. I guess I'm terrible at rapid fire answers. But were you in church at that time? Like, were you like going to church in 2003?
Yeah, I was absolutely.
So you remember Chris Tomlin coming out with like his album "Not to Us"? It was like his sophomore album. Like that is a U2 album. That is a guy covering, like trying to be U2, and and that guy like kind of changed the evangelical church for like the next 20 years. And we're still doing like Jesus Culture and like Bethel and stuff with that real like delayed, cloudy, reverby guitars and stuff. That's all just trying to be U2. It's the entire genre created by this.
You know what? A band that kind of like was like a Christian band, but always like never really like was preachy and never really got like too like that, but was just like super solid the entire Creed. Switchfoot was so good, man.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get
remember,
it? Oh, all right, but it's fine.
When I was in high school, I remember people saying like, "Hey, there's good Christian music out there. There's this band Switchfoot, and they should really be on the radio." And I would listen to them, and I'd be like, "This kind of boring." And then they actually did get on the radio, and they got huge. And we were all listening to them, like "Dare You to Breathe" and stuff. And I still thought it was really boring. I couldn't get in. I couldn't get into it. I didn't understand. Like the Christians, not everyone loved them, and I was just like, I think they're boring. I don't know. I was listening to like Soundgarden, Project 86 at the time, I guess.
Well, I would say that like this has been a cool conversation, and I'll definitely like have you on again. I feel like I didn't like really even like talk about half the stuff that we had discussed talking about. I feel like maybe we touched on it, but like I don't know, like I met you at Pork Fest, man. You're like awesome. Every Pork Fest till the end of time, I want you there. Same with the
Hopefully
McIntyres.
there's
Same
going to
with
be
everyone else.
future port. Hey,
Yeah,
if,
they're trying
if
to
they
find a
can't-
venue.
If they can't find a venue, like, we're just going to like hang out at some point next summer somewhere.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, like
we'll just figure somewhere to hang out.
We'll
right?
do our own pork fest somewhere, have our own little emo night, and do whatever the hell we want. That'll be great. But is there anything like at all that you want to plug or like promote while you're here on the show?
Honestly, I don't have a lot to promote. I am going to start that newsletter, Podsmacked. So I just, I love, you don't like the libertarians. I love hanging out with libertarians and arguing with them about stuff like music and Switchfoot and U2. But yeah, so that's going to be launching at some point. And I figured just going to like kind of just talk about what my friends are up to. These podcasts that are a little lesser known. Like you said, we're living in this like kind of a decentralized media is saturated. So it's like, let's try to shine the light on the people that we think are cool. But yeah, you guys can check that out at podsmacked.com, and if it's not up yet, it will be up soon. Or you can follow me on X. I don't post too much. I'll share stuff every now and then, but you can DM me, and if you have something cool, let me know, and I'll definitely share it. But that's at Sean Luke Picard, SeanLucPicard, Sean Luke Picard.
Awesome. Yeah, and to be fair, like I didn't say like libertarians necessarily. It's celebritarians that
it's celebritarians
get under my skin. So
what does that? I don't get. I don't know. No, I don't know what that means. Is that just like the famous influential libertarians, or is that the people who are being libertarians so they can get some influence?
It's like when a libertarian is able to personify the meme where you have like the different tiers of people who won a trophy, and then third place and they're biting the medal. That's a celebritarian. Like once they reach that level, and that's as high as they'll ever go, that's their peak in life. I'm not trying to talk crap about libertarians, but I love libertarians.
Not yet.
I'm just trying to avoid like getting into like a libertarian trap and only having libertarians on my podcast. I want to talk about like normal things. This is why this is a very refreshing conversation, because like it's been a very long time since I like didn't talk about politics barely at all on the show. And I talked about stuff that I actually want to talk about. Like this is all stuff that's interesting me. I love music. You're awesome. Like I want to have like more people like you on my show, man. People that I actually like could just talk for hours. You know what I mean? So speaking of which, I have Dan Smots coming on this Saturday. That's going to be a fun conversation. He's coming on for the second time. I think we're going to talk about, like kind of like radical Christianity a little bit too, because he's had quite a ride there, and then cancel culture a bit, and also why Dave Smith is a coward, because you can't skip on that. So
my copy of Death to Deconstructionism was signed by Dan Smots.
That's awesome.
I was really excited about that. He gave it to me, and he's like, "Do you want me to sign it?" I'm like, "Yes. I want this book signed by Dan Smots." So.
It's got to be weird, like signing something that's made by someone else. But that book's amazing. Definitely, everyone should read that. I'll plug Death to Deconstruction. Everyone should read that book. Dude, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna put you backstage real quick, and we'll catch up in just a second. And I'll close things out here. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Thanks again for watching. Like I said, I've got Dan Smots coming on this Saturday, and I really appreciate you guys sticking around, and hopefully enjoyed the conversation. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe onto the YouTube. I've definitely got some pretty cool musicians coming up also within the next few weeks. Let's do more of that. Hopefully we'll talk soon. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Tuesday night. See ya. Coming for the